Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to a brand new video here today, and welcome to 5 more things I think that need to be fixed or tweaked in F1 2019 career mode. So we already did a similar first video like this, and that was the first 5 things that I thought need to be fixed in F1 2019 career mode. And to be fair to Codemasters, the patch 1.05 patch did actually solve some of those issues, the R&D performance of each team relative to one another, and also the general handling also was tweaked majorly in that big patch. There are still a few things that weren't sorted out, namely the qualifying simulation kind of timing and whatnot. But, going off and reading some of your comments off that video, and also since posting that video in the last few days, other content creators have also been expressing some things that they have niggles with in F1 2019 career mode. So I've got 5 more things that I think need to be looked at and potentially fixed in patches, hopefully, in the future in F1 2019 career mode. Starting off with number 1, I didn't actually notice this myself until it was actually pointed out to me, and I thought, hang on, oh my god, this is actually so obvious, but the lack of the safety car and virtual safety car, like, where are they? Like, the safety car has gone missing. Like, someone put out an APB for them, because it just doesn't come out. I've had it once so far in my career mode, which was the Austrian Grand Prix last season in Season 1, and that was for a massive, like, T-bone collision with a Red Bull Mercedes, full-on blocking the track. But I feel like we used to get safety cars a little bit more often in F1 2018. In real life, you do as well. When a car gets parked up, a little bit unsafely or whatnot, they usually throw a VSC at least, but we haven't even got that. I don't think I've actually got a single VSC. If I try to remember, there might be like 1 out of 21 rounds, but that's how little it was, and it really shouldn't be that little of a chance to get one. And then, like I said, the real safety car, I've only got once. According to some of you guys on Twitter and other content creators, it seems like you either get them a lot in your career mode, or you just don't. So there's a bit of weird coding there of, like, I don't know, the random number generator of the safety car or virtual safety car, or however the coding is, of looking at each situation. It seems like other people's save files can either have, like, a massive amount of safety cars and consistent, virtual safety cars when they should be applied, and then sometimes you can just get unlucky with your save file and you just don't get many. And also I've been told there's some differences from career mode to Grand Prix mode. In Grand Prix mode, you're more likely to get a safety car or a virtual safety car, whereas in career mode, not so much. So that's definitely something that needs to be tweaked into, because a whole season without a safety car, some of you, I've definitely seen some of you guys comment that below on my career mode videos, that you've yet to get anything like that. It's just a bit crazy to think, because you would think in one entire season, surely there's going to be one crash. Also, remember, it's the F1 game, so compared to real life, there will be an instance where some AI do some stupid things, there's a horrendous crash or pile up, or just an AI parking itself very stupidly on the track or whatnot, and you would think there'd be a safety car. Like, actually, I think back to round number 1 of Season 2 of my career mode, Australian Grand Prix, Verstappen had an engine failure, very slow though, goes through the high-speed chicane, caused a crash with Raikkonen. I feel like that could have been avoided if there was a safety car. And so if this was real life, you'd kind of be judging the stewards for, hang on, why didn't you throw one? Because if you did, that entire incident crash subsequently wouldn't have happened, basically. So I think just like real life, they need to be held accountable, the fake stewards, the virtual stewards, and the coding needs to be sorted out, basically. Number 2, now on the subject of stewards not doing their job properly, penalties not being applied when you take brand new engine parts needs to be fixed. Now, I'm all for, getting a cheeky little advantage. I take an engine, failure, I take a new engine part from the column and from qualifying to the race, and I don't lose any positions, i.e. if you watch my finale of Season 1, I started in P2 on the front row, despite qualifying, what was it, like P5, and should have been down in like P10, or I think I might have been qualified worse and should have been outside the top 10. My teammate had a penalty as well, Raikkonen, he started P9, should have been starting P14, and yet, where did I start? P2 on the front row. Raikkonen started, I think, in P9, he didn't move, and then everyone else and their mothers moved down the order from engine penalties they had, but the player penalties, and it seems like your teammate penalties as well, just doesn't get applied properly from quality to the race. And like I said, I'm all for getting a little cheeky advantage here and there, but in reality, you should be, you should be getting the grid penalty hammer down and being, punished for going over these things, because that's the really only mechanic that we're going to get as a player to kind of balance out the fact that the AI definitely have way more mechanical failures. Like, we as a player cannot get an engine failure unless you were absolutely stupid with your parts, which I could never do. I've never done that. I've never gone into a race with 90% gearbox by mistake. That just couldn't be me. But, unless you do something as stupid as that, you don't really get a random mechanical failure or a random engine failure that's going to happen at a perfectly fine engine, whereas the AI can. They could have a perfectly fine engine in the back of their car, perfectly fine gearbox back of their car, and then lo and behold, you know, 1 lap into the race, 10 laps, last lap of the Grand Prix, they could get a failure, and the only thing that balances that out is when the player has to take grid penalties to at least, you know, give the AI a chance. You have to fight back. Obviously, if you fight back, it's a brilliant little story, brilliant race for you to fight back and have loads of overtakes, so it becomes a fun race as well, depending on the car you're in and if you can overtake, but it also just gives that fine balance, which all things should be, of course. So yeah, definitely need to work on that. I was mystified when it didn't happen at Abu Dhabi, and then afterwards kind of got explained by some of you guys in the comments saying, yeah, confirming to me, because I thought there might have been a glitch, but I wasn't sure, and then you guys confirmed that, yeah, you had it yourselves, where if you go between quali and the race, you just don't get applied. I don't know if you take it before qualifying, it does get applied. I think it does, because I had that at Monaco season 1, so it is just a specific thing from quali to the race, but they definitely need to look into that, because it's, you know, it makes sense. Sometimes you do want to use your worn out parts maybe in qualifying, try and just eke out last bit of performance, and then take the hit in the race. Number 3 is going to be AI traction. At times can be a little bit too overpowered. Now, personally for me, I've not experienced this greatly, but speaking to Tom97, obviously a fellow content creator of mine, he's on the podcast as well that I do on the channel, he's noticed it quite a fair bit at certain tracks with the AI he's playing against, so I've not noticed it too much. You do notice it at some few corners. I'm thinking, you know, right directly to a video I did recently, Chinese Grand Prix, the double left-hander in the second sector, just at the end, the double left-hander, they've always been really great at that, but in this year's game, they particularly are great at getting a great exit off that, and so they just do you on the traction, and that was the, well, not the case in the wet before the patch, but basically it's the reverse of that in the dry still, that basically they could be like 2 car lengths behind you sometimes, and they can just get a massive jump on you. Obviously, it's good to have aggressive AI, fast AI, but when it's a bit unrealistic to where you are, like let's say you're racing against your teammate and your teammate is able to completely do you on traction, shouldn't really happen in reality. Yeah, you could get a bad exit, but not ridiculous amount of like advantage there that you can clearly see, okay, he's getting absolutely perfect traction. And yes, they are a computer, so of course, yes, they would get perfect kind of thing, but I think that should be kind of built into the coding, that they kind of have a little bit of leeway here and there in terms of that traction. That kind of moves on and segues to point number 4, is just general AI consistency, track to track. Now, this is a difficult thing, I will admit. You know, it's to code that, it is going to be difficult. It's always been difficult, but it's been something that's been there for a lot of the Cody's games in F1. But on this year's game, there are larger swings, I feel, compared to last year. Like last year, there were a few swings in there. Like you could know that every single time at Spain, they are a little bit easier compared to maybe, let's say, the Bahrain Grand Prix. Last year, Bahrain was the most OP circuit ever for the AI. This year's game, it seems like France, very, very OP. Japan, very OP. And it's just hard to match them, really, in terms of that consistency. And even though I don't mind, I don't think other content creators mind, and maybe you guys at home maybe don't mind as well, about, you know, once you've done a whole season, you kind of suss out, okay, so for this race, if I move the AI down to this level, then it'll be a good race, and I can actually match them properly. And then the next race, you move it back up to here, and then you can match it. You can do that, obviously, and balance it out, but it would just be great if you could just have a plug-and-play game of, I want to do this level, this should be the level I'm at, and it's consistent across the board. Unfortunately, we don't, and we go to different tracks, and they're just OP at some, and not so OP at others on the same AI difficulty level, and so there just needs to be a bit more consistency in that from track to track, although, like I said, I will admit, it is a difficult thing to do. I can only imagine how much coding that takes to make sure they do, you know, kind of go at the same level at every single circuit, especially if you've got circuits like France, which they've redone since F1 2018. It is a difficult job, but it would be great to try and get that a little bit better, because I feel like it's got a little bit worse in 2019 compared to 2018. And number 5, and this is a very specific thing, and maybe it's only just me, but I don't know, when I tweeted about it, a lot of you guys were also agreeing, and you would like to do the same thing. I think it's really stupid that there's no way to save a duplicate of your career mode save in F1 2019 career mode. Like on the load screen menu, you should be able to click a button like triangle or whatever that says duplicate the save file, and so you can get 2 of the same career mode. So let's say you're at the end of a season, I don't know, season 5 of your career mode, you're right at the end, you've got an important decision of what team you want to go to next, you know, there's an R&D reset, you're not sure, obviously you might want to make a decision, just see how it goes, but what if you duplicate it? So you duplicate, you have the same exact point in your career mode, you can choose to go one way, let's say, I don't know, you sign signed for McLaren in one save file. You see what the R&D is like. Oh god, I've made a horrendous decision. Obviously you could play through that and that could be the fun of it, but you might also want to see, okay, what if then? What if I choose a different team? How could it work out? I will also say, personally, for me as a content creator, it would make things a lot more fun, because then I could do little experiments with, seeing what would happen if we go down a certain decision path of, A or B or C. And even for you guys at home, you might want to do that. I don't know, some of the same experimental fun ideas I have for videos, you might want to just do for the sake of your own enjoyment at home. And also, it just makes sense, you can do that on FIFA, a similar sports game, career mode. You can just duplicate the file. I don't see why not. I don't think it should be too difficult. You're literally just copy and pasting the files. Like, if we're talking about PC files, you're copying and pasting a folder of save files and just saying, yeah, you can load up this one instead. It's the exact same one as that one, but there are, it's a separate entity essentially. And on consoles, obviously, just duplicate it. I mean, I just don't know why it's not a thing. It kind of actually baffles me. We've never had that. I don't think there's ever been an F1 game where you can duplicate the save file for some reason, which I never got, actually. And actually, before that, it used to be worse. You used to be able to not have multiple saves. Now you can do, but you have to start a new career mode to have multiple saves. But before, you couldn't even do that, which was absolutely horrendous in the dark ages at the very start of the Cody's F1 franchises. But that's been 5 more things I think that need to be fixed or tweaked in F1 2019 career. Not all of them are major things, but 5 more things that came to mind after reading comments, like I said, and reading through Twitter, and also other content creators actually saying stuff to me as well about other things they're having grievances with. So if you did agree with those points, then let me know in the comments below, and let me know if you didn't, or if you got any more things that you've personally cropped up, because I may have not come across things. That can be the case, that you've had a different personal experience with F1 2019 career mode. So let me know all that good stuff in the comments below. If you did enjoy the video though, be sure to smash that like button. If you are new around here, to subscribe for weekly full-on content. I've been aarava. Have a nice day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.